Hell yeah, and welcome to episode 61 of the Temple Bar podcast. Philip, cults.
Cults, Jim. Everything from David Koresh to Taylor Swift and everything in between.
What's not a cult these days? McDonald's, that's probably a cult, is it?
Yeah.
Acculturation. Corporation?
Like McDonald's, Starbucks, all those entities that represent
Coca-Cola,
yeah.
Red Bull.
All the best ones.
All the best cults.
I know.
Instead of getting you to drink the Kool-Aid and kill yourself overnight, they make you eat the sugar and kill yourself over.
Was the first cult, you see, right? We're going to offend people here straight away. So the first cult you'd imagine would be a following.
How do you mean?
So I mean, a cult is, it's obviously something that people follow, isn't
yeah,
it? So would
every religion be a cult?
I can just imagine the backlash. Was Jesus the original cult leader?
I would say that Jesus wasn't trying to start a group. He was just giving a message. And I think that's what happens with all religions. Like, they start off...
Similar to Forrest Gump.
Very similar to Forrest Gump. I'll tell you, it's been all parallels with Jesus this week. I've had Sikh parallels and Forrest Gump parallels.
So before we delve into cults, tell us about Sikhism. Or you were in a Sikh temple.
I was in a Sikh temple. We were there with the neighbours who were Indian. They're Hindu, but it's a very
Sikh is more Punjab, north.
Very Punjab. It originated in the Punjab, yeah.
Northeast Indian, kind of where the Kashmir.
Yeah.
Where the war between Pakistan and India.
I think it's around there, yeah. So I didn't really have a breeze. I went there. I didn't even know it was a Sikh temple at the time. We went with their Hindu, their neighbours. We went with them, and they have a daughter that's Jonah's age, my son's age, and they're good friends. So we went for a Sunday thing. It's apparently you go there for food. But apparently Hindu and Sikhism are very close knit, and so you don't, and anyone can go. You don't have to be a Sikh. I found out later. Anyway, I'll get into that now later. But you go and you take off your shoes and socks and you cover your head, and then you go in. And we went into a room where they say prayers, and the men sit on the left and the women on the right say prayers for as long as you want. And then you go into this hall where everybody sits on the floor and eats, and people go around giving food. It's called a langar, I found out later on. Nice. So I didn't even know it was a Sikh temple until kind of after, and it got me interested because it's one of the belief systems I haven't really delved into. So this week I've been listening to a podcast about Sikhism. It gives like the beginning of it. Started out with a fella called Nanak. And anyway, so a lot of parallels with Jesus, I would say. Like, as Jesus was to the Judean system, he came as a child and he questioned the status quo and the system. Nanak, who was he also questioned the caste system. Like in India, there's a caste system. Yeah. Whereas like people at the top, a priest class, warriors, and then there's business people, and there's untouchables who famously Gandhi was, who he was a champion of. Just like Jesus, he kind of reformed the religions that were already there. Like Jesus was still always a Jew, and like this Nanak, he grew up. It was mostly an Islamic and Hindu kind of hierarchy at the time, and he kind of questioned the systems in place, and he was more like Jesus. He spent time with the poor, the downtrodden, and just a lot of parallels. And even when he died, his body disappeared, and there was lots of little parallels. And he got followers along the way. And it just made me think of like how these stories always come from a source, and it's always a different perspective on the same thing. So basically, this fella did for kind of Hinduism and the Sikhism what Jesus did for Christianity and with Judaism.
So I suppose, right, those lads were the OGs, right? I'm not calling Jesus an OG,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, those lads were... So then you had boys come along after, and this is where the development of a cult came along, where men were they doing it for themselves. Like L. Ron Hubbard, I don't know if Scientology developed like that. I think Scientology kind of came about because... look, listen, I know he was a fiction writer, but I don't know if he believed it had ever become what it became.
Yeah. Well, I think in a lot of these ways, even like talk about cults, Christianity, Islam, everything gets someone takes it over time and it degrades from the original message, and that's how you have cults. So like people would, like, you look at your man Koresh, he was teaching like a Christian philosophy.
David Koresh in Waco in Texas.
Yeah.
Can we just go into him now for a second?
Let's go into him. Let's get into hell, David Koresh.
Because David Koresh was bowled, right? In that, right, he had his followers. He was doing...
They're always riding the women and the kids.
They're always riding kids.
They're always riding the women and the kids.
This is the thing with these cult leaders. They're like Charles Manson. Oh yeah, he was bowled as well.
Well, what they say is that absolute power corrupts absolutely. Do you know what they say?
So David Koresh, when they came in to get him, he locked everybody in the...
Yeah.
And he set fire to it.
No, this is the point now. I've seen a few documentaries about it. Apparently, the FBI and the ATF set fire to it. They pumped gas in there to get them out. That's what I mean. Like a lot of the big dispute about that whole thing was who fired first. Like David Koresh, like it's an American thing. You can protect your property. All these people came. They'd been collecting arms to protect themselves. He'd preached about this day coming. This is the judgment day or whatever. So everybody there was expecting it. Like was armed for it. But what happened was the FBI came.
To be fair. When you're doing what you're doing, David, you can probably do a bit of Nostradamus on that. Like, oh, there's going to be a big day coming.
Yeah. Let's keep getting the guns.
And they'll probably target me.
Yeah. So basically, the ATF came and there was a siege then for, I don't know how long it was for. It was a long time. It was one of those, another beginning of the big news cycle things. It went on for ages. But I think it ended with the FBI tried to put tear gas in with these tanks and apparently it set fire to the house. I think the FBI dispute that. They said that they set fire to it, and the Branch Davidians, that would have been their name, they said that the FBI, and I've seen recent documentaries talking to the members of the Branch Davidian who still say they still, some of them have said that they were brainwashed, some of them say they still loved his message and that the FBI were at fault. So it's one of the, is the FBI a cult? The ATF? Isn't everything really a cult when you take it to an extreme? That's what a cult is.
Well, listen, I don't want to go back to it again, but this week they've put a RoboCop statue up in Detroit for the first time ever.
Did they?
Yep. So
I'm surprised you're not there drinking the Kool-Aid
for the unveiling,
drinking the baby food Kool-Aid. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I suppose whatever you're like, listen. You were telling me today about Jim Jones.
Yeah, Jim Jones is a good. Jim Jones is one of the famous ones because he had what were they called again? We thought they were something else. Anyway,
we thought they were Heaven's Gate.
Yeah, we thought, but that's another cult. But Jim Jones, yeah, he was like a guy who got everybody to give all their possessions away, move into a compound, and then over time he decided to buy property. I think it was in South America somewhere, and he started it, or maybe it was in Africa. It was one of those, and he started it. He brought everybody over, and then he made this Jonestown. So Jonestown is the places where they all live, but the wheels started falling off it after a while. And like there was apparently people wanted to leave, so there was a senator from America came to talk to them, and he told them all to behave or whatever. And then apparently a few of them had slipped letters to the senator that they wanted to escape, and he found out about this while the senator was leaving, and he sent people to the runway, and they killed the senator and a few journalists from America, and then.
There's always a lad to take it to.
I know, yeah, hell Jim Jones, fucking hell Jim.
Escobar did it too when he wanted to be president. Pablo Escobar was fine up until he blew up that plane with like loads of kids and everything on it.
Yeah,
he wanted to be president.
That's what I mean. Absolute power. That's what happens. Eventually, the line becomes so blurred that you just cross it. So anyway, so then they all went home and fixed themselves a drink of
900 of them.
That's where the saying "Don't drink the Kool-Aid" comes from.
That was all Kool-Aid.
That was all. They made this Kool-Aid. They made this drink that had arsenic, or I think it wasn't arsenic. It was one of the other ones that would kill everybody.
Bit of cyanide or something.
Bit of cyanide. That's what it was. Cyanide. So yeah, that was another way to go.
But
But I'll tell you what. I'll tell you from a Law 1 perspective. They talk about how the negative or service to self wants to get everybody around to their point of view by manipulation and stuff like that. And I see that how cults, and in the Law 1 they always say that every session is started with like, don't take anything as gospel. Take what resonates with you and leave the rest behind. And if it doesn't sound right to you, leave it. And they also say in it like that.
But then depending on your psychological build-up, you could take something wild from that.
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, that's your choice. But they're doing it so you preserve your own free will choice. That's the service to others. Side, but they say that if anyone that's predicting future events, like they'd never try and predict future events. So like that's what you find a lot of cults that have like a date that this is the end of the world and stuff like that. I would see that as more like somebody is manipulating them, which is like, it's not like this is just, and in the big picture, that's just as right as the opposite, you know what I mean? So it doesn't really matter, it's just the way it is. But this is how people get ensnared into these things.
Well, from my perspective, I'm a man who tries to predict future events every Saturday morning.
Yeah, I know.
I tried to predict over 8.5 corners in most Premier League football matches, and I just can't do it.
Well, you can't. Well, I tried to predict Man United going on a run of 5 games so my friend can get his hair cut, but it's not happening.
Do you know them, boys? I'm not getting my hair cut till Man United win 5 games. Boys with big afros now.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's even last night we played.
Football's a cult.
Football's a cult, yeah. Every football team is a cult. Like we talked about last week, how all my Facebook memories are me talking about Man United, and it was always a cult. Like, it's a cult following. You follow it, and it's the same with everything. Like, everything becomes a cult. Like, you talk about Taylor Swift, Swifties, or if anyone says anything negative, they all jump on, pile on.
Lady Gaga has monsters, yeah.
Lady Gaga, Believers, and
Believers.
There's K-pop fellas, and
I know the K-pop now. That's a different level. Like, that's scary stuff.
Yeah, but it's when a group comes together with a common goal. But then, of course, whenever any entity gets too big, it gets corrupted, or not corrupted even. It's going to have negative and positive. Like, negative and positive are the two of the main dualities in our illusion, or in our side of the world. So anytime something negative gets big enough, to be some positive comes into it. And anytime something positive gets big enough, to be some negative come into it. You can't have one without the other, because you need the contrast, you need the duality.
I've never seen anything negative. So I see it happen to everybody. A very famous one's Will Smith, right? Mm. Who was probably one of the most positive figures at the time in Hollywood when he did that slap. But Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson seems to have escaped things so far.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen to him? Something
I don't
wild.
know. Well,
let's predict the future event. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, something's going to happen to him, because something happened to everybody else had a fall off. Right. When they were that positive, if that makes sense.
Right.
Because he's almost too perfect.
Right.
You know, he's a great father, he's a great humanitarian, he's a great this, he makes blockbuster films. There's never anything negative about him.
Mm. Well,
so when are they going to come from? What's he going to do?
Well, I'm sure there's been blowback for some things he said or done. Like, I don't know.
No. This is the thing. Like, there's nothing on that scale. Like, if you go,
if you look through his comments for every video he does, there's going to be some hate in there. Like, you'll find.
I know you'll find. No, but I mean, where they try and pull him down. I mean, where they go after him.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's day? I mean, like, Tom Hanks is one as well that, like, you know, we've talked about how he seems like the nicest guy ever, but if you look online, there's some horrific conspiracy theories. It looks like he's been the man feeding the blender full of the adrenochrome. Yeah, if you listen to some,
like, John Lennon came out and he said we're bigger than Jesus. Like, that was that was
that was what he said. Yeah, but that's what I mean. There's like every you can't have one without the other. So you can't always be happy, because then you would. Without the contrast, to be nothing. You couldn't be happy. You could just be. And we're trying to, over our evolution, we're trying to escape this duality. Say if the whole of existence is a signal, is a frequency range. We're in a low frequency range of duality, where we need to have contrast to push us forward. And once we get past this range, we'll be in a higher dimension where there's different. Things that push us forward. We don't need such a difficult training ground, as they say in the Law of One. This is like the. I heard an interesting thing that made me think of Jesus. Actually, speaking of, they talked about like how the different densities of existence. So like the first density is just the elements: fire, wind, water, rock, matter, basically, which is just pure awareness, not like self-awareness. Then there's the animal awareness, which is the lion, which is it travels, it reaches, like plants reach towards the sun, animals move. And then self-awareness is like the line upwards, because you're starting to think of yourself and possible future events, and self-awareness, basically. And I thought of it like as the cross is like the humanity is the cross under those two lines between the second and third density. And so and if you think about dimensions, like we live in a 3-dimensional world. So the next, according to the Law of One, according to my view of it, is the next level of existence that us as souls get to would be 4 dimensions. So there'll be another dimension past it, which I can't imagine. We can't imagine.
Well, I saw a
as
very good
dimension.
video on that actually, on an ant walking on a straight line.
Yeah.
And an ant lives in a two-dimensional world, obviously.
Yeah.
And so they put an ant on a piece of paper, and then they folded the piece of paper.
Yeah, yeah.
So the ant, so there was a new dimension for the ant.
Yeah,
to see
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And I was like, there's something above us that we just can't see.
Yeah, there is. Of course there is. I mean, I think David Attenborough said that famously. He said it's the height of arrogance to believe that we can look at we can look at a termite mound and there's so much going on there, but they have no idea we exist. And like we sit here, we've got our cities, our lives, our busy lives, but we've no idea
What's looking at us.
But and from
Elon reckons it's a simulation.
I think it is a simulation, but not like a computer simulation. Like it's a infinite. I don't know. It can't be described. It's a pure one. Like I don't know. I can't explain it, but it's not. Computer simulations are just another manifestation of you.
Well,
computers aren't different from humans.
Well, this is strange now because I read about a fella who took some psychoactive drug, and a few of them took it, but they all had the same experience, and the experience was they could see code.
Yeah, there is a bit of that, like in DMT and stuff. Everyone sees these little elves and stuff like that. No, there is like a.
But apparently, these four people had an experience where they could all see code, and whenever they did something, the code would change. So whenever they moved something, the code around it would change.
Well, yeah, and that could be just our how we'd understand it, because it is a code. Like it is we're just light. I would say it's, and for a much simpler way of looking at it is we're just light projected through different filters. Like there's a gym filter.
No, you say this too much. You say light gets projected through different filters and it gets distorted as it goes. And this, you never explain it properly.
Well, I don't know. I can't. It's impossible to explain it properly.
But you never explain it properly. You always just say like, and the more it goes, the more it gets distorted. And I'm like, he said that again, and I still don't know what he means.
Because you can't. Like, I can't understand it either. I've just felt it like as like, you know, it's like it's something I feel. It's not something I can explain. Like it's basically there's like just an infinite first, like the Big Bang.
Yeah.
Is this first thought of I am,
right?
You know, so it's like it's this first awareness, and then that shoots out into matter. Takes billions of years from our point of view. In reality, time doesn't exist.
Yeah,
right. So it takes billions of years for matter to form. Then from that matter, it evolves into single cell life or whatever. It's like that. So that's the second density stuff, and that evolves into that. And this is like, so basically, this is just like it's like the evolution we see as a biological evolution.
So you reckon where we are now is we are at podcast level of
yeah. We're at the podcast level of evolution, but we're at the end of the third density according to the law of one. So we are self-awareness that has, you know, self-awareness is questioning your own existence and your own self, and we're at a point of that where we're coming to the end of that according to the law of one. Now, whether you believe that or not is up to you, but I just feel like it's coming, and the world that we experience is becoming less and less easy to hold on to. As
do you know why, Jim?
Why is that, Jim? Why is that, Phil? I don't know, I'm thirsty, but I haven't.
Yeah, I just look around there for a drink as well, because the dualities are collapsing.
Jim. Drink. Yeah, so that's it. Like the duality is the illusion that we are separate is slowly melting away, and it's I can't like it's. I try to explain it. I have great thoughts about it that come and go, but there's no. You can't say that's it. There's no. It's like a simulation. What's a simulation? Where did the computer come from? Like it's like you'll never get to the end of it, especially when we're here. Maybe when we leave these lives, it's a bit more easy to understand. But I don't think we're meant to understand. But from my own perspective, I know it to be everything's going to be okay. I don't know how. I can't explain it any better than that. But even cults or like groups having 900 people killing themselves, that's just a manifestation of infinite love distorted. You know what I mean? So we think of love we always think of love in a conditional way. Like, how can you love someone? You couldn't love someone who murdered your child, or you couldn't love someone because we think of it as in from the place of duality, where there has to be a good and a bad, a right and a wrong, a dark and a light, us and them. But where consciousness originates, there is no that. It's beyond judgment. Like it's not like that's good, that's bad. It just is.
It's just love.
Well, love is just a word. Love is not what it is. That love contains the most horrific things that we can imagine happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just it doesn't. The creator blinks neither at the darkness or the light. That's what they say in the Law of One. But so it's just we need the world to be a certain way for us to feel loved, safe, happy, etc. But where we originate from, where that the source of that light or the source of that creation doesn't. It's like it just looks at us as a manifestation of its love that will find its way back after when we've had our time or when we've evolved.
One would say, throughout all of mankind.
Yeah, we were thinking about calling this episode "Mankind" just because it's one small step for mankind. No.
So I'll tell you, we're going to say this. We're not going to clip this because we don't want to cause any podcast beef because
let's have some podcast beef.
No, because Terence said that he will come on here. So we were supposed to have Mick Foley, Mankind, the wrestler.
We were supposed
to have him. He ended up doing a different podcast sponsored by a cult, I'd imagine.
A cult, yeah.
But
as a bigger cult than our cult.
No, we're just using the word cult today. Allegedly. No. Some podcasts are sponsored by media conglomerates and media companies. We're not. So it only made sense for Mick Foley to a bigger podcast.
Yeah,
that's just what we did.
Yeah,
but to be fair, that podcast is one that I listen to, and I do enjoy it. So.
Yeah, I haven't listened. I must listen to it. Yeah,
it's actually deadly.
But so it was. But it is exactly as it was supposed to be. We were supposed to get our hopes up and have them dashed. And what lessons can we learn from this, Philip? We start a cult, and then everyone will have to come on our podcast.
Yeah, we just
everyone will have to come on our podcast and let us ride their wives.
Jesus Christ! And we were doing so well with not having to cut anything from you. I'm
not cutting that. That's what the big cult fellas do. But yeah, so in cults it tends to be, and I think even like with Christianity or Islam or Judaism, like it starts. I believe that the message is closer to the original thought, the original creation, and over time it just degrades because it can't. We live in a thing where nothing can stay the same. It has to change. It's always unfolding. The reality is always unfolding. So even if these cult leaders started off with a message of that was more pure or more loving or more service to others, over time, even like channeled, they talk about in the Law One, channeled stuff. If they always challenge whoever's channeling them, they always have to challenge them in the name of whatever you believe in, whether that be so, and that in that way you can't be manipulated. Or apparently, there's the rule of free will in the universe has to be maintained by both sides. That's part of the rules of the game.
Well, now we know they've basically come out and told us as well that aliens exist. They've told us this.
Yeah. That's coming soon, I would say, but I don't know for sure.
So they've basically come out and told us that there is other life forms or whatever. Are they living in the sea?
Maybe, yeah. Well, I mean,
this is. There's a lot of talk about aliens living in the sea.
I've seen a lot of this, yeah, and it could be. I do believe that if we get visited by aliens, that they will.
If aliens visit us, then what does the Law of One become? Does that mean that we could?
Well, they started off as a UFO research team. That's what
did they?
That's what they started off as. LL Research. They started off as trying to channel aliens. That's what they started off with. So no, basically they said there is no aliens because all is one.
So you're technically a Scientologist.
Well, no, because the Scientologists have a set of beliefs. The Law of One doesn't have any.
I was just making the L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah.
But he did the same because he started off with space and aliens and out.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. It's like they give information and you're supposed to take it or leave it. Like there's no set of rules. The only rule that's not even a rule. They say that it's best not to infringe on people's free will. It's a bit like Jesus' one rule: love thy neighbor as thyself. Like from the negative point of view, like given 10 commandments and you must live like this. Or most religions have like a set of moral and things that you have to live up to, and that's how it gets more complicated, or it muddies the water or whatever, and that's more people that want to live by these rules are easier to manipulate because they are beholden to these rules. Whereas if you just love your neighbour as yourself and be open and want to preserve someone's free will, it's a lot simpler than getting drawn. And I find it, when I get drawn to any extreme or opinion, or I want to judge somebody, I'll follow it as far as I do till I realise, then I'll bring it back and stay centred and let it go.
So speaking of just a cult-like figure, I suppose, but he's very divisive. So I was chatting to a lad the other day, and he was telling me that he was in Dalkey having his breakfast.
Right.
And he was saying that this woman came in and she sat down. She said, "Can we sit here?" Their cafe was jammed or whatever, and he said, "Yeah." And she said, "Can we sit here?" He said, "Yeah." So she sat down with her husband. Her husband was wearing a purple hoodie and a purple pair of sunglasses.
I've already clocked it.
So
from the location and the attire,
the location and the purple sunglasses. So he sits down anyway, and that's grand. So it is, of course, our Bono, and,
Bono.
Him and the wife are there, and so the lad I was talking to, he was sitting there, or whatever, and just to treat him at this little table, right? Place jammers, said nobody passed a bit of remarks on him. Nobody even looked at him. Everybody knew who he was.
Yeah.
Nobody even looked at him.
Yeah.
So then the young fella come down anyway, the young fella that was working there, and took the order, that was grand, brought them back, whatever they were bringing back, and Bono asked, he said, "Sorry, I was just wondering, do you have any Tabasco sauce?" And the young fella says, he was a bit embarrassed, I'm sorry, we don't. And Bono says, "All right, that's grand. That's grand, don't worry about it. It's grand." He was sound, 100%. The young fellow goes off. Not 3 minutes later, the young fellow comes back to the table, piss and sweat, out of breath, with a fresh, brand new bottle of Tabasco sauce from the shop down the street. And Bono looked at him, and Bono goes, "You really didn't have to do that, like, you did." And he was, no, it's grand. Yeah, no, it's grand. Don't worry about it. Yeah, no. He goes, and your man, my mate says to him, he says, "I wonder what would have happened," he says, "if I had asked for Tabasco sauce."
Yeah, he wouldn't have went
You're
around to
getting
the
no
shop.
Tabasco sauce.
I wonder, did the owner of the place say to him, "Go on, run around and get some Tabasco sauce,"
Oh, no.
or did your man take it on himself? To do it?
No. I'd say he went down. He was probably like, Bono wants Tabasco sauce.
He's getting a bit close to the edge.
Like, get back in there and get me 56 brown M&Ms.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to wreck the place.
That's funny. As you think of a cult following or a cult thing, like Bono, a lot of people would say that he's started off with the best of intentions and has gone off the other edge. People say that, like, people have that opinion about him. A lot of Irish people talk about how he preaches about saving people and then doesn't pay taxes or whatever people give out about Bono, or hypocrisy. Like everybody isn't a hypocrite. Like when someone points out someone's a hypocrite, I always say, "And what are you?" Because what am I? What's everybody? We're all hypocrites. My God, does anyone think that they're not a hypocrite? Because
I love what you two did in the music industry.
so those songs are unbelievable, and the stadium fillers and beautiful stuff, and it's just great live shows.
Like Sunday Bloody Sunday. I think, even if I was struggling in the gym, if I put on Sunday Bloody Sunday, I'm just like, let's go.
Poor Larry's back is still fucked now from playing all those drums. They're such an interesting band because they have the Edge. Obviously, has anyone who knows music knows that the Edge's guitar sound is like world famous. Like everybody in the 80s wanted to copy that. Their drum rhythms are like, they're never simple 4/4. Like there's always something strange, weird drum beats to them. Adam Clayton, he's quite standard. He doesn't play any fancy stuff in the bass, hardly ever, very rarely.
I actually know someone who knows him, and I can't remember who it is, but apparently he's like real sound. Apparently he's just like
that's because he can play the bass as well as me, and he's in U2. That's a joke, of course.
I can't remember who told me that. Somebody that I know knows him really well, and they're like, he's sound or whatever. And I was like, do you know why? Because he's in the most famous band in the world, and he can still walk down the street.
Yeah.
It's kind of like being in Coldplay and not being Chris Martin.
I was talking to a fella the other day. I had a fellow doing a song, and he was telling me about he met a guy in a tracksuit one day, and with someone else we know, And he was saying, like, who's that lad? And he said he wrote all these songs. He started naming off, and your man jumped in a big car and drove away. Because I was talking about how being famous isn't really, like, there's a lot of bad comes with it. And he was saying, be that guy. Be the guy who writes the songs in the background, gets all the royalties, and can walk down the street. Like, be a lot of famous.
Ever heard Happy Birthday?
Yeah.
He wrote the second.
You know that new sound you've been looking for. Oh my fucking god! That's it. So that's like, be that guy. And I have to say I couldn't agree more. Much rather be that guy.
But that's, like, it'd be great to be in one of those famous bands and not be.
Yeah.
Not be be the one who can still go out and get twisted drunk and act the bollocks.
Don't be one of the Gallaghers. Be one of the other lads.
I would say Bonehead. I'd say Bonehead probably. I
think he was probably all right until now. He's big on the social media now. That Oasis. I was in town yesterday. That Oasis shop on.
They've opened
Nassau
again for
Street.
Christmas. Hungry bastards.
Yeah.
Hungry bastards.
It's on Nassau Street, and I was like, is that still open, or did they open again?
Because it became the rugby shop. When the rugby was here, and now they've or NFL when the NFL was here, and then they went back and reopened it as an Oasis shop.
Fair fucks to them.
Cheeky bastards,
making an absolute killing, them boys.
But yeah, I've always
cult Oasis fans.
It's very hard to say, because I'll tell you why. Because when they were dying off around 2008, 2009, they weren't selling places out.
No.
They were kind of coming to the end of what they were at the time. And then because they fucked off, they became huge again then out of the nostalgia of it. Yeah, it's like Boyzone. If Boyzone had kept going, they probably would have finished.
You saturate your image in the market or
They'd
whatever.
be in the button factory. Do you know what I mean?
There's Boyzone in the button factory.
You know what I mean?
Oh man, I saw them in the button factory back in the day.
Boyzone in Bruxelles.
Don't love me for fun, girl. Let me be the one, girl. All them bumping off each other because they're too close.
Them all gay and all.
The Rattling Bog by Boyzone.
They're fucking. They're playing the Emirates, the Arsenal stadium.
I saw that. Yeah.
That's and everybody's going mad saying like, oh,
they didn't do an Irish one.
I think they will. Of
course they will.
I think they'll do the Emirates.
Of course they will. And so Oasis will do a Nebworth as well. Probably in the summer, yeah. And probably another tour. Of course they will. Even if they go in with the intention we're only doing one, the money men and everyone is like, nah, come on now. The train's rolling now. Look, they've obviously did a lot of good work on that Oasis tour, because even to have the infrastructure to reopen that shop in Dublin at Christmas time, like they've obviously got all their I's and T's crossed and everything.
Well, do you know what? Funny,
all the logistics of it.
I'll tell you something. I'm not going to knock the button factory. I'll tell you why. Because tickets today went on sale.
For?
And we have some.
Do we?
We do. We have tickets to Lewis Doyle Singer in the Button Factory.
Do we? Now that's a cult I want to be part of.
So we have. So I'm not sure if it's sold out, but I got tickets this morning for us just in case. So So I think it's February, and it's his first live
in Ireland.
In Ireland, he did one in London last week. He did an acoustic one, but I think the Button Factory is going to be black and tan dancers and the whole lot.
Oh, lovely! I'm looking forward to that. That's great. Thank you, Philip.
Yeah,
that's nice. He's trying to get me on the Lewis Doyle cult, and I'm all about it. Cult followings. We were talking about Kanye. He had a bit of a cult going, did he?
Yeah. His Sunday service is like...
Yeah. Or Jared Leto. He's another one.
He's a creepy bastard.
Yeah.
I've heard some mad stories about him now.
But that's the thing about like everyone. You hear stories, but you can't know. Even like to Tom Hanks thing, I find it very hard to believe some of the shit I hear about him. So I just choose not to believe it. I just choose not to have an opinion, and that's what I would do with most people that I don't know or I don't like. Unless I'm doing unless I'm meeting all the victims and going through all the thing. Like just reading stuff on the internet for me is not proof of it anymore, because it's all crazy.
Madness.
Yeah, madness.
I like the jumper. You're gone very Christmassy today.
I am. I'm wearing this. I got this when the baby was, I think, his first Christmas. Chilling with the Snomies. And they're all pictures of the baby.
Is that Jonah?
That's Jonah when he was little, yeah. That's when he was little. Couldn't talk. And this morning he was holding two conversations at the same time.
In English and German.
One in German and one in English while singing songs. Fucking, it blew me mind. Very, very. It's amazing how kids soak up stuff. Like I couldn't learn a language if I did it every day because it just doesn't go in.
I do Spanish and Duolingo, like, but
yeah, it doesn't stick with me. And I don't judge myself for it. It's like I just don't have the head for it. But if you get a kid early, that's why it's better. Like if you want kids with music and stuff, music theory and whatever. Like you want a kid to, you think a kid needs to know when they grow up. It's good to try and get it in there early because I think that's when you soak it up without judging, without like having an ego to push it away. Or it's I tried German so many times. It just, I can kind of understand when there's a conversation going on, but most of the time I'm just like, it just goes over my head. And it's also like, I think I've talked about this in the podcast before. Whenever anyone's having a conversation, not talking directly to me, I just kind of zone out. You do that as well, I'm sure.
Oh, Jesus.
You do it when I'm talking to you sometimes. Yeah, I'm just zoned out, like, so I'm not sitting there going, "What's he saying?"
You were saying something to me in the car earlier, and I was like looking down the N11, and I was like, "Did he ask me a question there?" I was like, then I can't remember what you said to me, and I was like,
the traffic lights were broken.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
And I was like, my ADHD brain there just wasn't.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely have a guest next week.
We'll definitely have a guest next week, yeah.
We'll definitely have a guest next week. And I think we've got one more after that, the Christmas one after that.
Yeah, probably. We'll probably get 2 more done before Christmas, I'd say.
So anybody with their Christmas parties, go out and enjoy yourself, mind yourself, because listen, we're doing
I was in Lidl today and they'd have their Christmas party the night before. They were all a bit worse where I was talking to the girl at the counter.
Well, I've had a few Christmas parties in the gigs and they are mouldy. Do you know do you know something you can tell more so now that people aren't getting out as much as they used to from the way they're behaving at Christmas parties? As a matter of fact, the other night I had a couple of pints, so I was getting to Lewis home and there was a fella, we got as far as Stillorgan. So we'd passed Dundrum, right? So for anybody who doesn't know the Lewis, it goes Dundrum, Ballally, Kilmacud, Stillorgan. We were at Stillorgan. He had gone 4 stops from Dundrum on the last Lewis home. He was like twisted, like falling all over the place and everything. And the security lads went up to him and they were like, "Where are you getting off?" And he said, "Dundrum." And they said, "You've gone past it. You're going to have to get out here, and you might be able to get one to bring you back the other way." And he said, "No, it's the next stop." And they were like, No, it's not. You've gone past it. So when the doors opened, they kind of like, they weren't pushing him out. They were just saying, "Look, you're at the wrong stop. You need to be going back the other way." And he just went mad. "Get your hands off me, you cunts!" And like start swinging and all. I was like, just that could have been avoided.
You can't beat the Lewis. You can't Lewis on the Lewis unless you're Lewising.
And he was Lewis.
Yeah, he was Lewis as fuck.
But just like that, mind yourselves if you're going to be any Christmas parties or any old messing, because I've noticed that people aren't getting out as much. And listen, as the man says, how can you play championship football when you're not getting out to practice once or twice a week?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, keep that liver on his toes, folks.
Just
yeah, but it's Christmas party season, and it kind of goes from late November all the way up. So yeah, we were in town last night at her dad's over from Germany, and we were at the Christmas lights in Merrion Square, and we went to go for food or something after. Every pub we went into, every place we went into was absolutely packed out the door. I said a lot of them were Christmas parties starting early. Was there something did we talk about it on the podcast last year? There was some company that had a Christmas party that like went
Striker.
Was that what it was?
Striker, the one in Cork.
Yeah.
Like, but that was the Christmas party to end all Christmas parties. Like it was insane.
It's like something out of a film or something.
There was like obviously enough. There was like tag teaming going on. It was wild.
All sorts of striking going on. All sorts of goals being set and scored. But
the company was called Striker. I remember it was crazy.
It's mad how
Wolf of Wall Street stuff. Like.
Yeah. But it's funny how probably in a workplace, a lot of this energy, a lot of the energy is kind of held down over a year maybe
until they all get out.
Yeah,
and then it's basically
There's a lot of polite, like a lot of thoughts, like I don't like you, or I do like you, or I fancy him, or I fancy her, or all these different
And then it
things
turns into-
bubbling under the surface, and all it takes is a few weed looseners,
3 tequilas.
3 tequilas, and then it's what's that photocopy? What's that photocopy you're seeing tonight, lads?
You're nothing but a cunt.
You've always been a cunt.
Do you remember what you said to me the second week of March?
Yeah, 2015.
So yeah, mind yourselves.
Mind yourselves. Don't make good decisions if you can. If you make bad decisions, trust that it's for your good in the long run. So we're getting close to Christmas. I hope you enjoy your Christmas party if you're having one. I hope you enjoy a few festivities if you don't have a Christmas party. Big up some of the atmosphere. And we'll see you next time with a guest. That's it for episode 61 of the Temple Bar podcast with me, Jim Wade and Philip Noon. Stay bold. Sláinte.